Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video we'll be covering angles. In the previous video of this episode, which is the struggle solving series, in the previous video we did the episode on basics of geometry, where we covered everything from a point to three-dimensional figures. The three-dimensional figures we didn't cover how to name them, but the rest of them, like the one-dimensional, two-dimensional, etc., we have covered how to name them, right? One of the two-dimensional figures, or a figure made of two one-dimensional figures, is angles. And angles is a very diverse topic. You will be using angles everywhere, okay? You start using angles when you're somewhere around 5th, and then you use it all your time, like all the time you're doing mathematics and science, right? Angles are very important when it comes to physics. It's very important when it comes to chemistry in 11th and 12th. It's very important, and in maths obviously it's important, a very huge topic. So let's understand what angles are, how you measure them, and where you can use them exactly. Okay, so the topics we are covering today are what are angles, how to measure angles, how to make angles of a certain measurement, and what are the types of angles. The types of angles is mainly because it's in lower classes where you're asked to identify the type of angle. Alright, so first we have what are angles. Angles are made of two rays, right? So last time we discussed what rays are. Rays are basically a line with an arrow on one end and a point on the other end, right? So this pointed end is the origin of your ray, and the arrow end means it goes on forever. So made of two such figures is an angle, and it's not exactly this figure that you call an angle. The angle is basically what is in between these two rays. Okay, now one is fixed and one is movable. How to know what an angle is? So to make an angle exactly, you are having two rays, right? So one ray is said to be fixed. So we'll call this our fixed ray. This is what a ray is, right? So this is your fixed ray and this is your point of origin. Now you have one movable ray. Okay, so the angle is actually determined because of this movable ray. The fixed one is your base, right? So you start your angle from this. For example, this is my movable ray. Okay, it can be over here. Okay, one second, not right, it's not moving. Yeah, suppose this is my movable ray. Alright, it can be over here, or it can come over here, or here, or here, or here. It can go anywhere. You can make a complete circle out of it. So it can be on this very line, it can be somewhere here, it can be exactly perpendicular to this line, right? It could be on the opposite end, it could be somewhere like this, right? So this is your movable ray. It can go anywhere. Let us keep it over here for now, for the sake of understanding. So here you have your fixed ray here, fixed ray, and this is your movable ray because you can move it. So angle is basically this part, the measure of this part, and how much it exactly is. And how do you measure it? You measure it with the tool of a particular you can say dimension or a particular shape, and this shape is a semicircle. Now if you want to measure it beyond a certain limit, you'll need a complete circular tool, right, wherein all the degrees up to 360 degrees are mentioned. This one here is just till 180 degrees. You can also use this to measure your reflex angles, that is angles beyond 180 degrees, via a certain method. I'll show you that to you later on. So now we are coming to how to measure angles. We know angle is made of two rays. We know that the angle is the part in between these two rays. You have one fixed ray and one movable ray. All right. Now we are coming to measuring this. So this device, okay, many people would call it a D in their geometry box, but its actual name is a protractor. Okay, you should know what to call it, protractor. Many people get confused between a protractor and a rounder, right? Rounder is basically that the device in which you can fix a pencil and make a circle. This is a protractor. Okay, some people call it D like I told you, but don't call it that. When you're writing answers or when you're mentioning it somewhere, you have to mention it as a protractor. Now we have an angle over here. right? So now we have to measure this angle. How will we measure it? Let's get a protractor here. Now in the protractor, you might see that there is this part, right? This circular part. This circular part should align with this part over here. The point over here should align with this circular part. Okay. So now keeping that in mind, let us place our protractor. So we'll take our protractor here. 1 second. And move it over the circular part. Pay close attention, okay? It is aligned perfectly, right? Now you can see two sets of numbers. One is the blue set and the other is the black set. How do you know which one to refer to? Now we know that we have a fixed arm. The fixed arm can either intersect with a 0 or it can not intersect with a 0. Over here you see this fixed arm is running along this 0, right? The 0 on the inner part. That means this is the line you have to follow. So now my angle is this side. The fixed arm is going through 0 on the lower side or the inner side of your protractor. So we will be referring to the numbers on the inner side or the lower side. If the case had been opposite, if the 0 being aligned with was here, then what would we do? We would refer to the upper part or the outer part of your numbers. Now see, it's referring to 0 on the inner side. So we'll go like this and you see the line, the movable arm of your angle is coinciding with this line. Now how do I know that what the angle is? You can see a 40, you can see a 50, but how do I know what the angle is in between? Between 40 and 50, you will find 10 divisions, right? So count it: 41, 42, 43, 44 and 45. It is around 45. It is intersecting with 45. So I will call it 45 degrees. Now how will I write the measure of this angle? First, I'll move the protractor away so we can write the measure. 1 second. Yeah. To write the measure, first you will make an angle over here and it is 45 degrees. In the previous video, which was basics of geometry, we have covered how to name an angle. Okay, and if you want to do it again, let's just say this is your point O, right? This is P and this is Q. This will be called angle POQ and its measure is 45 degrees. Alright, now we know how to measure angles. For example, let me say you have another angle which is somewhat like this. Okay, this is your fixed side and this is your movable arm. Now we'll move the protractor onto this one. Okay, I've aligned it there, but it is not aligning. So we will turn the protractor a bit. Okay, now we can see that the base or the fixed arm is aligned with the horizontal arm of your protractor, right? Now it's perfectly aligned. So you can see that the 0 it is intersecting with is on this side, right? That means the outer lines, the outer numbers are aligning. So we'll see where exactly it's going till 41. Okay, we'll consider it 41. That means the measure of this angle is 41 degrees. Moving the protractor aside, let me write over here, making the symbol 41 degrees. Alright. Now, let us go to the next important part, which is drawing of angles. For that, we'll grab our protractor again because it's important. Okay. Now, how to draw angles? say I want to draw an angle of 56 degrees. Okay, I'm just taking any number. Say I want to draw an angle of 56 degrees. How will I do that? First of all, I will take a protractor. One second. Yeah, I'll take my protractor, and right now, since I don't have to measure something askew, I'll keep it as straight as possible. All right. Suppose this is my protractor. To draw an angle of 56 degrees, first you need a horizontal line, so I'm drawing it over here. When you're drawing on actual pen and paper, you will first draw your base and then align your protractor with that base, so you can then get your proper measurement. Now, if you want, we can increase the size of this protractor. One second. Yeah. Now it's aligned perfectly. Correct? So to draw the angle, what I'll do is I'll first take a mark at 56 degrees. So it's aligning on the inner side. That means 50 is here. That's 51, 52, 53, 54, 55 and 56. So I will make a dot at 56 degrees, right? I will make a marking where I get 56 degrees on the protractor. Now I'll move the protractor, because you cannot draw in between while the protractor is there. Move it to another side. Now I will draw a line starting from this angle. I'll take a scale or something. I'll draw a line starting from this angle and aligning with, one second, aligning with the intersection point. Right now, let's not mind how my line is drawn, because digitally I can fix it. When you are drawing, use a scale and a pencil. Alright. So now I'll draw an arrow over here, and this is my angle of 56 degrees. Can we draw 56 degrees on the other side as well? Obviously you can draw it on the other side. Let's see how. Alright. First of all, let me make my base. This is my base. Alright. Now we'll bring in the protractor and align it with the line. Alright. Now I'll see where 56 degrees is. Now if you can see, the 0 is here. The outer 0 is aligning with my line. So I will check the outer number. So I have 50 here, 55 here and 56 over here. Yeah. Like the previous case, I will move the protractor now. Right? Move it away. And now I can make a line starting from this dot over here, which indicated 56 degrees, to the point of origin. Right? Make an arrow over here. Make the small arc and 56 degrees. You can make any angle. Okay. Now that we know how to make angles, we have types of angles. And what are these angles based on? These types of angles are based on measurement or measure of the angle. Okay. First I will list the names over here. After that, we'll see what each angle is called. Okay. What each angle refers to, or what degree or what measure, right? First you have acute angle. Acute angle. Right? Then you have right angle. Okay. After that, you have obtuse angle. Alright. After that, you have a straight angle. Next, you have a reflex angle. Then you have a complete angle. Okay. Now these are the types and they are actually very evident. Okay. So let's see. Acute angle is an angle measuring between 0 degree and 90 degree. It is not equal to 90 degrees. It is between 0 degree and 90 degree. You have right angle which is exactly 90 degrees. Then you have obtuse angle which is greater than 90 degrees but less than 180 degrees. Okay. Straight angle is exactly 180 degrees. Then you have a reflex angle which is greater than 180 degrees but less than 360 degrees. After that, you have a complete angle which is exactly equal to 360 degrees. Now, let us understand these absolute ones. Okay, these are very easy to remember. First, you have the right angle, then the straight angle and the complete angle. How? I'll tell you. Right angle is basically like this. Okay. It is like this. This is 90 degrees exactly. Why is it right? Because it's exactly a corner. Okay, you can think of it like it's perpendicular. This one is exactly straight and this is exactly sleeping and standing line together. That is your 90 degrees. Next, you have a straight angle. What does straight mean? It's a line like this, right? Straight. That is what straight angle is, 180 degrees. If the point is here, if you consider this your fixed arm, the movable arm will end up here at 180 degrees. Hence, it's a straight angle. What is a complete angle? Complete angle is, see, you have your fixed arm like this, horizontal. Your movable arm is also on this line only. Why is it called a complete angle? Because it is started from here and it is ended here. It's a complete circle, hence it's a complete angle. Now we'll come to the not so absolute ones. Okay. The not so absolute ones. So that's your acute angle, your obtuse angle and your reflex angle here. What is acute angle? Acute angle is, what do you call small children? You call them cute, right? Small children, you'll see, you'll just because they're small, they seem cute, right? So acute angle is also very small. It's smaller than 90 degrees. It's somewhat like this. 90 degrees is like this. Anything smaller than that is acute angle. Clear? Nice. Obtuse angle. Obtuse sounds a bit like obese, right? Obese. So what does obese mean? Fat. So think of your angle like this. Okay. This is your angle. And this is the representation of your angle. You see, this looks like a fat person's stomach. You know, when they lie down, the stomach is like this and the body is like this. So it's an obtuse angle when it seems like it's an obese person's stomach. Then you have a reflex angle. Reflex angle, there is no such trick as such, but then, you know, think of it like a flipped obtuse angle or a flipped acute angle. So suppose this is your angle here, right? The outer part is the reflex angle. Reflex angle is greater than 180 degrees and less than 360 degrees. So it can be anything starting from like this much to going all the way up to this much. And once it joins this line, it becomes a complete angle, right? Not a full circle, only this much. Alright, so now you know what are angles, how you measure angles, how to draw angles and what are the types of angles. And with this, we are done with our angle struggle solving, which is a struggle solving episode 2. Extremely easy concept, very easy things to understand. And you know, with this information, you can score good marks in grades 5, 6 and 7, right? So that's it for the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and also check out my posts on medium.com. This is not sponsored. I have posted many letters and essays on that site. So if you're giving your ICSE examinations, or especially if you're giving your 9th and 10th boards, you should refer to those letters and essays. They will help you practice. What you should do is, basically, first you should just see what the topic or heading is, write your essay or letter based on whatever it is, and then you should refer to the letter or essay that I have written. Okay, you can compare them, but not exactly, because everybody will be writing in a different way, but that will give you an idea how to write it, how to present it, and etc. Right? And I will soon be making a video about how to write good essays and letters, so also stay tuned for that.